Forrest successfully graduated, and his mom was beaming with pride. Then, a military officer approached him like an old friend. To support the national cause, graduates got enlistment notices. Forrest boarded the bus to the army, facing another awkward childhood moment. Luckily, a black guy came to the rescue to talk about a superhero moment. Forrest met the third most important person in his life, Bubba, from a family of shrimpers. Despite his mom and grandma being employees, Bubba dreamed of owning a shrimp boat after service. As he sat on the way to the army, Forrest daydreamed about military life, thinking, what a fresh start this will be. Forrest realized he didn't have to think, just obey the sergeant. When it came to assembling rifles, he was always the first on talk about a fast worker. The sergeant ordered them to clean, and Forrest painstakingly scrubbed the floor with a toothbrush talk about cleanliness. Forrest often thought of his mom, but most of the time he was missing Jenny. She was his soulmate. Suddenly, a magazine landed in his lap, and he spotted Jenna's face in it, only to learn she got expelled. His heart skipped. Forrest rushed to the address in the magazine, ended up at the theatre, grabbed some popcorn, and sat waiting. Watching his old friend sing with the guitar felt heartwarming, like witnessing the birth of a star. But reality bit hard as the audience heckled her non-stop. Forrest, fed up, decided to step up. He severely reprimanded that disruptive audience member, and as a result, Jenny lost her job at the theatre. "I love you, Forrest," she said, her words filled with the sentiment of being loved, just like someone who's been cherished. "You don't know what love is." Jenny remembered her childhood prayers as she stood on a bridge, wishing she could just fly away like a bird. To escape her miserable life, Jenny hitchhiked a passing car, ready to chase her dreams. Jenny thought Forrest was too naive to drag her down, but Forrest said he was heading to Vietnam. As they parted, Jenny warned him to steer clear of danger, run as far away as you can. Forrest promised to write her often, and with that they bid farewell. Soon after, Forrest and his buddies boarded a helicopter, headed for the Vietnam front line, thinking, what a crazy trip this is. At the camp, Forrest met Lieutenant Dan and asked like a fan, "Good morning. Are you my FMG? This isn't a party. Move it." Lieutenant Dan shot back without flinching. Lieutenant Dan hailed from a family of military men. They were all warriors, and everyone respected him, and no one dared slack. The battlefield wasn't as imagined. They mostly reconnoitered. At any rustle, Dan hid them like a skilled hunter. Only when safe, Dan let them move on like hide and seek. The weather in Vietnam was unpredictable, with rain lasting 4 to 5 months. Forrest thought, this weather matches my mood terrible. This harsh environment made marching even tougher. Forrest wondered, how do I tackle this? I'll stand directly in front of you, simply lean on me, and will absolutely never manage to catch even a moment of sleep. Lieutenant Dan shouted out loudly, "Are you willing to join me in the fish flake business?" Forrest kept writing to Jenny, but never got a reply. Meanwhile, Jenny bravely faced life and became a wandering singer. She and her friends wandered, hunting for gigs as if life was one big adventure game. One day, soldiers moved forward as usual. However, with the rain suddenly ceasing, fierce artillery fire descended upon them like a tempest, turning the entire scene into a chaotic mess. Lieutenant Dan called for backup while ordering everyone to retreat to the woods. Forrest ran like a rabbit, scared to get caught. Forrest went back searching for Bubba but found soldiers calling for help. He decided to play hero, carrying them to safety like in the movies. He continued searching for Bubba, only to stumble upon an injured Dan, ready to face his fate like a true warrior. Forrest ignored Dan's objections and dragged him out to talk about being a tough guy. Forrest dove into the woods without hesitation, thinking he'd never see Bubba again. Yet, he heard Bubba calling for help like hearing a siren of hope. At the 11th hour, just before the airstrike descended, Forrest struggled with all his might to drag Bubba out, but unfortunately, Bubba was barely clinging to life. Soon afterwards, Forrest got sent to the hospital after getting hit in the backside. No cash compensation, but the good thing, he got unlimited ice cream. He offered his ice cream to Dan, but Dan wasn't too happy and tossed him straight into the toilet. Dan felt down, thinking, I didn't even get to die a soldier's death. How unlucky can you get? Forrest Gump couldn't help but empathize with Dan, thinking about how incredibly difficult his predicament was. It was truly rough. During rehab, Forrest got addicted to ping pong. No one wanted to play with him, so he practiced alone. His skills skyrocketed like he was in a... One night, Lieutenant Dan yanked Forrest off the bed, fuming. This was his anger toward Forrest for not saving him. The once proud lieutenant was now so defeated. The drastic psychological shift was tough to bear. Forrest received news that he earned a medal for his bravery on the battlefield, feeling like he'd just hit the jackpot. He rushed to share this honor with Dan, only to find he had left the hospital. His heart sank. During the ceremony, it was live-streamed, and the president himself pinned the medal on him. So cool. His mom beamed with pride from the audience, and Forrest felt like he was in a dream. Then, he got pushed into the lineup, now a speaker for the anti-war movement. The square was packed with anti-war protesters, and Forrest was totally puzzled about the speech's meaning. Felt like he was at the bottom. Suddenly, Forrest heard a familiar voice. He jumped down from the stage, feeling like he was about to reunite with his dreams. He dashed toward the Jenny had been dreaming about, and they embraced like a couple of long-lost pals. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe.